we go.
Yep. So I'm going to read a few poems from my new book, Feeding Hour. It was published by Wandering Angus Press, and the cover art is from Margaret Davidson, who is an IE artist, and I'm really grateful for her work. Feeding Hour. This is the title poem. The sheep cluster, signaled by habitual gait and bucket clatters. I am a daybreak messenger of provisions, barley, oats, and hay. Liminal, ruminant, what is left of their wild survives by each bite. I am a witness of their ravenous hunger. I am the caretaker of their tamed want. The next poem I want to read is from the second section called Digging, and it's called Two Mothers Walking, and I wrote this after a walk with a friend of mine, so this is for Anna. We thought they were swans, far offshore in a huddle, lazy swans that chose to stay. But the long arc of orange gave them away, stragglers, climate change refugees that in a normal year would never reach our northern cove of coastline. But what is normal anymore? We were talking about life and babies, my daughter about to walk, your daughter graduating. You want to clutch and hold her close, while mine refuses to be put down. They grow up so fast, you say. I need more time to myself, I say. Driven to near extinction by pollution, these pelicans are a miracle or an omen. We stride slowly like the unfurling tide, acknowledging these visitors and the fierce uncertainty of what may come next.
Nice.
Since that poem mentioned swans briefly, I want to read my poem called Swan, and this has multiple parts. 1. It's makeshift, an embellished puddle claiming to be habitat on dormant farmland. A wedge of trumpeter swans migrating, saw it under flight and decided to stop. 2. I called her at 4 a.m. I think it's time. My body is sticky from the heat. My stretched belly itches and burns. Her spirited white Mini Cooper darts down the driveway. 1 centimeter dilated. Only 1. I sheepishly smile as she holds me under her graceful wings. 3. The snow level dropped last night. Mount Baker is cloaked in fresh powder. The foothills, too, sparkle against the waning daylight. I must stop. I must reach out from my roadside roost and take a picture of this transient flush of waterfowl. Mothers and fathers and children, anointed by purple sky. 4. All day she floated ungrudgingly between me and the other mother, contracting and pushing, screaming and sweating. My hair stuck to my face, sundress soaked. I soar and breathe through the pain, while she welcomes 2 journeying souls. 5. In Houston, after the floods, a midwife rides an inflatable swan to reach a laboring client. Babies don't wait for good weather. Water straining down her streets left her stranded until a neighbor said, "Try this." 6. I snuggle a giggling girl in my sweater and sense the return of the trumpeters. Soon I will see them wandering the fields with their new young, sacred white curves, feasting gratefully on barley and tuber remains. 7. Kindness and fierce flight guide the wingspan of new life, back to familiar grounds. It is a calling to birth babies. Like migration, you must be ready to answer to seasons and cycles, and always, always stay the course.
Nice.
This next poem I want to read is called Carry On. I checked my suitcase. I have one personal item to carry through the terminal on the plane. It's light, almost too light. I pat the pockets looking for what's missing. Ticket, yes. Wallet, yes. Book that I've been meaning to read, yes. My hand runs over my stomach. I feel a fading ache in my breast. I never imagined what leaving her for the first time would feel like. Rain plasters the tarmac. I must go. I must never leave you. And I want to finish with one more poem here. And this one is called Returning to Water. She enters the water with trepidation, but this fluid space absorbs all of her fears, maybe even feels like her first true home. Tiny feet flap and kick, not for motion, but investigation of liminal movement, her own growing expanse. The chaos of splash brings joy and terror, freedom and buoyancy. She yells, almost cries, then settles her heart, shaped lips to the surface, to transform air and water into effervescent elation.
Beautiful. Now this book you've divided into separate sections, is that correct?
Yeah, so this book has 4 sections. They are called Birth Stories, Digging, Familial Truths, and Mothering. And a lot of the first poems in that first section, I refer to those as my sheep poems because they were very inspired by my flock of sheep. I could read one more of those if you'd like.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay. This one, actually this is one that's kind of funny because I wrote it on the day when one of our sheep went into labor, and we were actually having a poetry reading here at the IE.
Oh.
So this is called Birth Story 3. She distanced herself from the herd by noon, breathing rapidly, scratching the hay away to bare sand. A few hours later, she has leaned on her full side, lips pursed upwards, a sure sign of imminent pushing. The poetry reading started at 5, but I was coming early with all the chairs, refreshments. Do I leave her? I hoped for the best, gambled witlessly on her practiced motherhood. I read my poems. Halfway through the next reader, the picture arrives. Triplets, healthy, standing, all attempting to suckle, safe and healthy for now, as I listen and diligently clap.
That's
So
beautiful.
good story there. All the babies did well.
That's
and it was
beautiful.
a great poetry reading too.
And it reminds me that Jessica and I really wanted to do this because she does these wonderful poetry readings, usually like every 3 or 4 months at the gallery. And with COVID, we haven't been able to do that. So this is a nice way to get a reading out to everybody.
Yeah, this is a great space for poetry, and Margie, you've been a big supporter of that over the years, so I'm really grateful.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Alrighty, bye-bye.